Welcome to the Health, Balance, Wellness channel, your haven of peace. There are some experts in the field of scientific dissemination who firmly state that banana is a food to avoid, especially in smoothies. According to these opinions, it would be an ingredient to be firmly excluded when preparing healthy drinks. But why such a rigid position? In this study we will try to clarify together, examining in detail the effect that this fruit has on the body and how it interacts with other ingredients, especially those rich in antioxidant properties. Before going on, I ask you for a like to support our work. But let's get back to the video. Hearing that bananas shouldn't be used in smoothies may sound like bad news, almost as if a fundamental ingredient of a healthy diet were missing. This especially affects those who have recently started a journey towards a more balanced and conscious lifestyle. In fact, one of the first eating habits that many people adopt when they decide to eat more healthily is to prepare smoothies with vegetables and a touch of banana. Banana, in fact, helps make the drink creamier and sweeter, significantly improving its taste. It is well known that plant-based smoothies are a healthy choice that can easily be integrated into your daily routine. It is no coincidence that many nutritionists recommend them, suggesting consuming at least one a day. This habit not only helps improve the intake of fiber, vitamins, and mineral salts, but also promotes hydration and the elimination of toxins. However, if you decide to eliminate the banana from the recipe, the flavor of the smoothie tends to become more intense, slightly more sour, and sometimes less pleasant for those who are used to sweet and soft flavors. But then, why do some scholars recommend not including banana in smoothies, if it is so useful in so many ways? The explanation comes from a rather interesting scientific study. In this study, researchers examined a small group of people, precisely 10, who consumed a smoothie containing cocoa, an ingredient naturally rich in polyphenol, beneficial antioxidant substances also present in green tea and berries. Polyphenol are precious compounds for our body, as they help to counteract oxidative stress, reducing the damage caused by free radicals. However, in some foods such as bananas, but also in potatoes, apples, aubergines, and certain mushrooms, such as the classic white mushrooms, there is an enzyme known as polyphenol-oxidase, often abbreviated to PPO. This enzyme is responsible for an oxidation process that is visibly manifested by the browning of the fruit or vegetable exposed to air. The problem, then, is that when you combine foods rich in polyphenol, like berries, with other foods containing PPO, like bananas, a chemical reaction occurs that significantly reduces the amount of available antioxidants. In other words, this enzyme can inactivate, at least in part, the beneficial properties of polyphenol, compromising the overall antioxidant effectiveness of the smoothie. Some popularizers have taken this information to make blunt statements, claiming that bananas should always be avoided in smoothies so as not to cancel out the effect of other healthy ingredients. But is it really that simple? The reality, as is often the case, is more nuanced. It is true that polyphenol oxidase can degrade some of the antioxidants. However, there are some important aspects to consider. The first is that the enzyme does not completely cancel the beneficial effect of antioxidants. Some of them remain intact. For example, in berry and banana smoothies, about 10 minutes after preparation, a 50% reduction in antioxidant content is observed. But if the drink is consumed immediately, this loss is significantly reduced. So, a very simple solution to avoid the problem is to drink the smoothie immediately after preparing it, without letting it sit for too long. In this way, the degradation of antioxidants will be minimal, and you will still be able to get great benefits from the combination of ingredients. A second point to emphasize is that our stomach also plays a role in the degradation of antioxidants. In fact, during digestion, a part of these substances is naturally altered or destroyed, regardless of what we have eaten. This means that the effect of PPO is only one of the variables to consider in the complex process of nutrient absorption. Finally, there is a third aspect that is even more interesting. In some cases, the transformation induced by PPO is not necessarily negative. For example, in green tea leaves, the action of the enzyme converts catechins into other compounds called flavones. These latter still have antioxidant properties, although different. Therefore, the chemical change caused by PPO does not completely cancel the benefits, but modifies them into a different form. So, what to do if you are an antioxidant enthusiast and want to get the most out of every smoothie? Fear not, there are simple and practical strategies that allow you to minimize the effect of polyphenol oxidase. The first, as already mentioned, is to consume the smoothie immediately after preparation. This way, the enzyme will not have time to act significantly. Another solution, more drastic but effective, is to briefly cook the banana. In fact, PPO is a thermolabile enzyme, which means that it is inactivated by heat. Cooking the banana at about 70 degrees destroys the enzyme and prevents unwanted reactions. However, it is understandable that the idea of cooking bananas for a smoothie may seem unusual or impractical. An interesting alternative is to use freeze-dried bananas. This process, which involves removing the water in the cold, allows the fruit to be preserved in a stable way, maintaining many of its nutritional properties and at the same time inactivating the PPO enzyme. Freeze-dried bananas can be easily found online and are a valid option for those who want to prepare high antioxidant smoothies without risking losses. In conclusion, we can say with certainty that bananas should not be demonized. They are a precious fruit, rich in nutrients such as potassium, vitamin B6 and magnesium, in addition to providing immediate energy thanks to the natural carbohydrates they contain. Despite the presence of polyphenol oxidase, there is no reason to eliminate them from the diet. On the contrary, they can be part of a healthy and balanced diet. However, if you are particularly careful about your antioxidant intake and want to maximize the benefits of your smoothies, you can adopt small measures such as consuming the drink immediately, using freeze-dried bananas or experimenting with new combinations of ingredients. You don't have to give up bananas, you just need to know the mechanisms behind these interactions to make more informed choices. Remember that this video is created for informational purposes and should not replace your doctor. If you have any questions, contact your doctor. If you like our videos, leave a like, subscribe to the channel to not miss the next contents. See you in the next video.